Hello everyone, happy Wednesday to you. I'm going to talk about eating poop. Oh my God, that's disgusting. How many dogs do you know, or how many dogs have you owned that you actually see them trying to eat feces, or they just dive into it, period. There's no try nothing to it. They just dive into it. It's disgusting. Most people look at that and they come to us all the time. They ask me, Bryan, my dog eats poop and I don't get it. You know, I spend about $100 a month on this wonderful food, this incredible food. I give him treats. Every now and then I do cheat and give him a little bit of household food. And yet he eats poop. Well, I'm telling you what, it's called cropophagia. And guess what? You need to get over this. And this is another one of those cases against anthropomorphism, where we insist on making dogs into little people in fur coats. Let me tell you something. For a dog, it is normal. Normal. Okay. So how many humans do you see crawling around out at a dog park or in a field somewhere or in your yard eating feces? It's not normal for humans. If I see that thing in my yard, some human doing that in my yard, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. I'll probably just die right then and there on the spot. But it's normal for dogs. And here's why it's normal for dogs. Okay, from a natural standpoint, nursing mothers, wolves in their dens, that's what they do. They keep the den very clean. Always clean. Wolves and dogs are very, very clean animals. They don't like to soil the space that is near them. They really don't. So it's very normal for any sort of nursing mothers, whether it be a domestic dog, whether it be a wolf, it doesn't matter. They will clean up for their puppies. So it's very normal from that sense there. It's also normal to eat poop from herbivores. Deer, rabbits, cows, horses, you name it. That's very dogs in the wild, free-ranging dogs, wolves, other wild animals, they eat the feces of other animals. It's a protein source. A lot of these herbivores, they use bacteria in their digestion system to develop proteins, and these proteins help boost the immune system. So it's not unnatural to catch an animal wanting to eat the feces of one of these deer, rabbits, and horses and cows, so on and so forth. They do that. Plus, also, it's a good source of oats and grains. And yeah, you just heard me say it. A lot of us go, oh, I want to buy the grain-free food for my dog. Well, that's another video down the road. We'll talk about that. But just know this, leave your dog unchecked and they will eat grain and oats and find in any source that they can get it. Also, a lot of stray dogs and dogs who come from puppy mills, they will eat poop out of desperation. Out of desperation. I'm starving. A starving animal that are kept and not fed enough, animals that are running stray on the streets, they will eat feces. They will eat it. They're just trying to get something to eat. So out of desperation, it can become an OCD behavior. It really can. Animals who start eating feces, for whatever reason, that can turn into a habit. It can be a nervous behavior. It can be something that is just maladaptive. They just have to eat it. And the cause for that can be many things. It can be because you punished a dog incorrectly. Joshua and I talked about that in a video a little ways back, in which some owners who had the incorrect timing in housebreaking, if they punish their dog too late for going potty in their house, the animal will actually learn to eat the feces. Hey, I just got rid of the evidence. There's no smoking gun. They're very smart animals. So late timing can cause that. Sticking their nose into it. I talked to you about that. Wow, don't ever do that. You just let that genie out of the jar. And good luck trying to get it back in there once they discover that. So don't jumpstart it by any means. So again, we'll talk about how to do this properly. I'm just going over some of the reasons why they do it. A lot of it is just learned. They see other dogs do it. Again, I've told you many times, most young animals especially, they learn from mimicry. Mimicry. So therefore, they see older dogs eating feces and they think, okay, well, maybe I'm supposed to eat feces. There can also be a health reason. There's a condition known as chronic pancreatic insufficiency. Now, we owned a dog that had that condition, and we had 3 other dogs at the time. None of our dogs did cropophagia. None of them, period. Until the one dog that we had, the German Shepherd, developed this condition. And when he did, all 3 of our dogs immediately tried to ingest his feces. And the reason being is because when you have this condition, you eat food without putting proper enzymes into it that are given to you by the veterinarian, it really looks like the food just went through a microwave. It truly does. And therefore, immediately, these other dogs just took interest in it. And once we got the condition under control and manageable, then the cropophagia on the part of our other 3 dogs just went away. But that's one of the reasons as well. Malabsorption. Your dog could just have a condition in its digestive tract, a GI issue, in which, again, kind of similar to this, but just not as deadly as this. This is very hard to manage. They can just, for whatever reason, pass it through. Same thing happens to humans. There are things, corn, for example. I don't want to get disgusting here, but eat corn and eat certain things, and then if you happen to look at what came out of you the next day or next morning, you will probably see that item in your stools. So dogs, again, will dive into that for those reasons. So for the most part, it's very natural. It really is. And it also comes with very, for as far as medical consequences, very minimal. It really is. If you have a dog who's ingesting feces, of course, they can ingest parasites with that, tapeworms, you name it. You'll want to have them checked by a veterinarian to check on parasites that can be transmissible to you. So be careful with that. They can eat the infected stools of other animals, and there they go. As soon as they ingest that, now they could have those parasites as well. But really, outside of that, the biggest harm is just in our heads. Because we look at that and we go, that's disgusting. And and I hear people say that to me all the time, and while they're telling me that, their dog is licking them in the face. So, like, what the heck? It must not be that bad. Give that a little bit of thought there. Okay, so how do we make this disgusting thing go away? I mean, and right now, with all of our dogs right underneath our feet all day long, and we're taking our dogs for 10 walks a day, yeah, you're probably seeing this, and if it is there, it's either A, just developing now, or it's already developed in the past. You just weren't aware of it because your dog was off to doggy daycare somewhere, off to a dog park while you weren't paying attention, so on and so forth, being walked by a pet sitter, and the dog was doing the behavior. It's just that you just now noticed it. But regardless of that, how do you make this thing go away? Okay, number one by far, avoidance. Simply avoid it. Clean up your yard. Clean up your yard. And I know a lot of us say, well, he only went once. So today is Wednesday. I'll wait till Friday and I'll clean up the yard. Well, if there's any feces in your yard, there's a chance that your dog will eat the feces. If there's no feces, game over. Right then and there, problem solved. Clean up your yard. And also know this too. I've always said when it comes to like housebreaking a dog, a little attracts, a lot repels, but you're housebreaking. And housebreaking means the dog's under constant supervision. We tend to lax those standards when the dog is older and proves to be a little bit more trustworthy with housebreaking. But here's the deal with that. If there's a lot in your yard, the dog will start to clean the yard by itself. And again, I know some of you are probably going, sweet, awesome, man, I can get past this if the dog scoops the yard for me. I'm tired of stepping in it. But no, they will do that. They will start to clean up if you're not careful. So again, avoidance is the number one thing. Kind of difficult to do when it comes to deer feces and rabbit feces and any other animal's feces. When you walk your dogs, you take your dog hiking or you go on trails near parks. These animals, it's very difficult to see their feces, and sometimes it can look like your dog is just smelling something, taking a big interest in something with its nose, and you don't even realize the dog's actually ingesting that feces. So you're going to have keep a good eye on it. Once you've seen it once, if your dog has done it once, I guarantee you this. Either A, he's done it before, or B, will do it again. Hear that? So this isn't a one-time deal. If they've tried it once, they've already been doing it, and you just didn't know about it, or they're going to keep doing it if you're not careful, you don't supervise them. So avoidance is always number one. There are chemicals. Give it a try. Sometimes I've seen it work, sometimes not. There's things like the bitter apple that's out there. There's other taste avoidance chemicals. You can put black pepper, for example, sprinkle a little bit of that on the stools, and the dog will go up and immediately ingest that in the nose and go, wow, have a sneezing fit, and can possibly cause them to avoid wanting to eat stools. Again, smart animals. If I try to eat a stool and something happens to me, causes me to start sneezing a lot, or my taste buds erupt and explode, and not in a good way, then yes, they can learn bad food, bad source of food. They can. I've seen over the years about a 30% success rate in that. Here's the one thing I've seen 100% success. Correct the dog, period. So in other words, you watch your dog. If you know this is happening, you even suspect it's happening, put your dog on a long line. I love a long line. I swear you darn near everything on a long line because it allows you to touch your dog. It allows you to control the outcome of that command. So put your dog back on the long line. It goes out in the yard. It starts to eat poop. No. There's a consequence for it. You start to eat poop and cause an effect that something happens to you. But make sure you say, no, I did that to you, dog. It really wasn't the poop. That was me. And even though I may not follow you out in the yard every single time, for at least the next month I am, and if you learn, it just becomes a habit, becomes a fixed pattern. I'm not going to eat poop whether someone's out here with me or not. The only time that develops is if you're inconsistent. You go outside, you supervise the dog with a long line in the morning, but you don't do it in the evening. Then you do it both all day long the next day, but then you only do it partially the following day. You will create, through your inconsistency, conditions. Hey, safe versus dangerous. It's safe to eat that poop when no one's around. Very dangerous when someone's around. And there's a long line. Another thing is create the command out. Out, we talked about that before. Out, drop it, leave it, give. Use that. Teach it the way to your dog like I showed you before in previous videos. I'll make sure in the comment section today that I give the actual day that I demonstrated that in the video. Next week, I'll be talking about another way to get this thing done as I go over another tool that we can use to make this go away. But out, I'm telling you, my dog Captain, this was only about 3 weeks ago. I've never, ever seen him commit to coropophagia before. However, I drove up here to work at Taming the Wild, and the trainers are out working the dog, and the dog had just voided right there in the grass, right next to where my car is parked. And of course, they were working the dog, so they had not cleaned it up just yet. Captain jumps out of the car, immediately goes to it, takes one little short sniff, and there he goes. And so it took me about a second to react because I was in a state of shock for about a second. Oh my gosh, really? My dog? I get that other people's dogs do this, but my dog? No, not Bryan's dog. No way, it can't happen. Well, I'm telling you what, it did. He immediately dove into it for whatever reason. I said, out, and I've told you before how good he is with that. He jumped about a foot in the air. Whatever was in his mouth, it came out right then. I've not seen him repeat that behavior before, but I'm telling you what, I know now. I'm armed with a little bit of predictive information. I've been watching him like a hawk, because again, if you did it once, you've either already done it, I just didn't know about it, or you're going to do it again. So at the end of the day, don't really sweat it too big. There's a lot of stress going on right now. I don't know if you need to add a whole lot of stress to your plate because it is normal, and I've already said it has minimal medical consequences. It's just really disgusting, more than anything else, because we just don't get that. But it's easy to make go away. Clean your yard. You can put something on the stools if you want to, or just attach a long line. I guarantee you, after about 3 weeks to a month at the very most, after several corrections, if it's required to do that, maybe you only get just a couple, it will go away. Now, once you're able to send your dog back off again to a daycare or what have you, or you have someone else come to your home and walk your dogs, make sure that they do the same thing. Make sure they clean the yard, make sure the daycare keeps their play areas clean, and make sure you alert them, say, hey, my dog does coprophagia. And you'll have to explain to them what that is. As it eats poop, please make sure that my dog does not do that. Because again, you can have 10 dogs go potty at one time and one person trying to clean that up. Many dogs will dive into it while you're over here scooping this. Same thing can happen to you. So give it a little grace, but keep working, keep pushing it forward, and you guys get this thing done. Now, tomorrow, I'm going to talk about another disgusting habit, and that's called rolling in feces. Oh my gosh, one of our dogs, his name is Dave, a.k.a. Chicken, a.k.a. Pigpen. We'll show you some pictures of him. If it is disgusting, it can be a dried up earthworm on the sidewalk. It can be bird poop, goose poop, any sort of herbivore poop. Oh yeah. he is going to roll all in it, starting from the tip of his nose to the end of his tail. Many dogs roll in feces and other what we consider disgusting things. So I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. Why do dogs do that? And we're going to make sure that goes away as well. Okay, guys, that wraps up for today. You know what to do. If you found this beneficial, please share it with someone. And also, while you're out here working your dogs, just keep in mind, stay safe. Just keep up with that social distancing for now until we can all get through this thing. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you have any questions, you know where to reach me, Bryan with a Y at tamingthewild.com, or simply ask the questions in the feed. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Don't be doing this.